TJ coming?
Coach, he's got school this week.
Oh, okay. What do you want to work on?
Well, I'm going to pose this to you.
Let's hear it.
But I have never been taught by Bobby. We did a lot of takedown. You know Bobby was heavy on takedown.
Mm-hmm.
But we never did evading a punch. I would always ask him, and he would set me up with JJ, you know. But I thought, you know, I'm not the kind of guy that could probably take too much. Maybe 2 or 3 shots I could take, Coach.
Okay.
But if that's not...
Well, here's what I'd ask you. I mean, he didn't show you like the Gracie curriculum version of that? You know, close the distance, create the frame on the shoulder.
Close the distance, no frame on the shoulder. It was mostly head placement with single leg, double leg, takedowns. By the hundreds, we did those.
Yeah. So, how I usually approach this is 2 ways. One, I'm like, well, if you're worried about being punched and stuff, you need to wear the retired gloves.
And I've talked to Elijah about that. And this week, I'm supposed to maybe get some testosterone help because my level's 0.
Yeah.
And I think it would really help me, Coach, to put out that energy and be able to sustain it a little more. Right now, I'm having terrible trouble with it.
Okay.
So is that something that I could pursue on the side?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because Elijah's really cool to me. He knows I've got some disabilities.
Now from there, because there's the 2 approaches. Like I said, usually by blue belt, if you've been here the whole time, I'd have been like, hey, go learn to throw punch. Which I'm very lucky that I have a good staff for that. The other side of the equation is I teach you the basic self-defense, which is pretty straightforward. Like, I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised you didn't learn it. But, so, a couple of things to keep in mind. A lot of that old Gracie curriculum doesn't actually account for people who can actually throw punches. Because when they teach you, they do stuff like this.
Wrap around.
Yeah. So, was that your reaction? Like if they come like this
Yes,
here,
sir.
and then what?
I don't know. Maybe to throw another one?
All right. So, the go curriculum-wise, you throw a big punch at me.
Oh.
You want to hook here at the shoulder with your fingers, and you're opening the chin and you're opening the
Oh my goodness.
You see what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And you keep your head turned away because the other arm's there. So as you start trying to punch it, you hold and take your
Oh, no.
So the idea is that triangle frame.
Okay.
So like straight out of like the hoist, the Gracie curriculum. They come here and the guy's coming to punch them. The goal is not to get away. Well, we'll get to that. The goal is to basically eliminate. So whichever hand is coming to punch at you, but even if you're wrong, it's okay. The goal is to create this frame here with your forearms. So as you come in to punch me, I'm coming in here, and I'm trying to get you here. Yep. And then I'm keeping the pressure here on your shoulder. And then I'm kind of using my elbows to protect myself.
And that flanged me out a little bit.
Yep. So as you're trying to hit at me.
Oh, hit.
And then, boom! Does that make sense?
A lot of sense.
All right, so I'll start there.
That's something I can do, brother.
So big hook. Like you dig your fingers in the back of my shoulder here. There you go. And keep this under my throat. See? Now me being a big strong guy, and then I can do this. Yes, move, trip me. Yep. There you go. You see what I mean? That leaves me with my chin and my head up and my arms separated. That's as much as I can hit you. So the real trick is almost like
Praying mantis.
yeah, that's probably a good way to put it. Is you're just hanging and really put your body weight on it. Because I'm a big dude. So you come in and you hang, you gotta really hang. Yeah, there you go, see? And then if I start trying to give you, elbow up. There you go. See, this is all I can do.
You could do that for a while and not have it until I decide to run away.
Yep. Because when you get down to like the very, very beginning of self-defense curriculum, there's a lot of here and a lot of here. And what they do is kick at your knees constantly. idea was is I was keeping you away.
Yeah,
Yep. Now they would even go here, here, or here. And those are your three major kicks for keeping it away. But then they're waiting for you to create distance. Yep, it's a good old, straight out of the old video games. You know the side kick?
yeah.
Step in, well, step, and then step. There you go.
Forgot.
Yeah. Well, because like, there's definitely validity in the traditional system. I see it, I appreciate it. It's just when you get down to some of that stuff, when you get to the reality of what people want versus what's really used these days, that's where you run into those problems. Because having somebody who's able to like defend and then be able to go like, oh, just be able to kind of kick and then even be able to kick at range. Because when you get down to it, like the times that you're going to get into a fight, gas stations, you know,
Somebody don't like the way I drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit.
Um,
Picking on mama, something like that.
and honestly, these days I usually tell people like, well, conceal weapon
Yeah.
classes are good. Because most people, nobody really wants to fight hand to hand.
No, dude, that's
And then
it's my arena.
and then I usually go to like diffusion. John, I went with John and his wife to the dugout recently, and some drunk guy came in there and he's picking on me, and I kept kind of just going. And he was like, "Oh, tell me how amazing it is." I said, "Oh, that's cool, dude." And I just kept defusing, and eventually the guy finally went in and like, "God, that guy was trying to like."
Bobby used to tell us that as you progress to belts, your tacit aggression towards society should relinquish. You should let go of that and behave better and try to get out of it.
Well, and when you even get down to like legal systems and stuff, if somebody can prove that you train and you hurt them, that becomes a massive legal issue.
Yeah,
That can
it
really.
can cost $1 million and some time in
Exactly.
jail.
This is why, like, I tell people, if I ever truly got into a fight, if I'm going to hit you, I'm gonna hit you in the liver. You know what I mean?
Because that's just
I'm gonna go like this, and then I'm just gonna catch you right in the body right there. Because I know that's gonna shut you down. And if I'm gonna kick you, I'm gonna kick you in the IT end. Because I know that's gonna shut you down. So those 2 points of the body, most humans, especially guys who overestimate their fighting ability, those are the spots that those guys are gonna have an issue with.
You kick a guy in the knee and you
Yeah.
put a little stress on his knee, he might rethink what, you know?
But this goes back to if you hurt him completely. Yeah. You kick a guy in his knee and his knee buckles, he falls down, blows an
You
ACL.
liver punch him, you take away his pride for a minute and a half.
Because he can't breathe, and he'll recover from it.
Okay.
Kicking the IT band, his leg will malfunction, but he'll recover from it.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I mean by
Okay.
that. Like, if I'm going to hit you, it's going to be stuff like that.
So we want to contemplate what we're doing.
Yes.
We want to measure it. We want to make sure we're in the right. Yes.
So the first line of defense, generally it's not even throwing punches. So if we were to take you way back, let's say women's self-defense. When I do women's self-defense classes, I actually never teach them to throw a punch. And why do you think that is?
But they obviously don't need that.
It's not that. It takes you as a grown-ass man who's lived in the military and lived, I'd imagine, a semi-traumatic life. You probably know how to throw a good punch.
Yes, sir.
You throw a punch that would make a guy think twice. But somebody who's never really thrown a punch, teaching them to throw a good punch takes time. Now, I can teach you to throw a good elbow in moments. So a lot of times, especially when I do like self-defense curriculums and some of the other guys can do, like I'll work with other guys around here who go from here and go teach self-defense stuff elsewhere. And a lot of times I go, well, it'll take time to teach a punch. I will teach you an elbow first. And then when we go back into like that traditional curriculum, like that right there, I come up, I frame on your shoulder, I keep your chin up, yep, you do the funky chicken. One elbow is meant to control your elbow, the other elbow is meant to control your arm. I can just do a sotakari, simple trick. But if I need to, I can also extend and take your neck. Yeah. Or you can throw them, or you can do a lot of stuff just from that position because you're close. And most people, if they're just going to punch you, this is also a thought process thing. How long does your average person really be able to fight?
I would imagine if they're anything like me and Joe, maybe a minute and a half if they're lucky.
Yeah. And that's if you're a decently in shape grown ass man. Now, when you get down to it, like when the adrenaline's hitting you, some guys coming at you all hard. I personally, if I see a super buff guy wanting to fight me, I'm all for it because it is hilarious. Well, yeah, because they're not used to that moving that big meat chest either. So even a lot of times, of just keeping them amped up, yeah, just keeping them moving. Like, oh man,
That Joe Rogan thing.
yes,
So you want to fight? Just stand there and let them wear themselves out.
Yeah.
Play defense.
but then there's also a question of how much damage you can take. You don't want to take too much damage.
No, sir.
Me personally, this age, I wouldn't want to take too much damage. So then we get into the concept of decisive action. If you're going to fight, then it needs to be a, okay, I'm going to fight. And then it's a question of what's the cleanest avenue to do so. So that's where we get into, you can keep away from a guy, so this goes into wearing him down, and just keep kicking him. Just keep kicking him. Because most humans, will not be able to do too much with a low kick. If you kick higher on the body, you run the chance of even a lucky guy grabbing your leg and pushing you down and knocking you down. So that's where kicking at the knees comes in. When I was a kid, we used to call it skater fighting. That was even before I understood self-defense or anything like that. The other kids at the skateboards, they either try to swing the skateboard at you or they try to kick at your knees. And a good kick on the knees will do real damage. However, then we circle back to causing like real damage. Like if you hurt that guy, even if he was the aggressor, if he's able to prove that you are trained in any way, shape, or form, it can cause a lot of problems for you.
There's kind of a little bit of responsibility in our contemplation and how we even conduct ourselves. And most importantly, Coach, where we place ourselves. What environments I should be in and shouldn't be in.
Yes.
So I appreciate that because even at 58, you still have a warrior's mentality. But here I'm learning the whole circle of martial arts, which is respect and dignity and responsibility.
But also a time to put a motherfucker down.
Yeah, we work on that, don't we?
Yeah. So if I were to build it up, so we treat this like a self-defense seminar. So I want to learn how to do the things. So we take the time to explain to you the self-defense without defending yourself. We turn you to a female. We go, okay, so do you pay attention to where you park at night? Do you pay attention to where you go? Are you putting yourself in risky situations? That's all. That's all those kind of things. Like if you went home to your wife, well, how about your hairstyle? Ponytails are kind of frowned upon in most self-defense ropes because it's one of those things that can grab you and then when we get down to the actual, well, what are you doing? Then there's the random chance situation. You're changing lanes and somebody's offended and they follow you somewhere. Okay, well, if they're gonna follow you somewhere, where are you taking them?
I'm not driving to the cop station or the fire station so I can have a little backup.
Exactly, and that's where even just kind of being mindful of those kind of things. Because in a situation like that, or even being able to call, like, hey, I have somebody following me and pulling into a place, we're gonna just, I'm on blah blah blah, and there's somebody following me. Because for the most part, law enforcement will be there for you, for the most part. If they're not for you, then you want to be in as public an area as possible.
Yeah.
Because then that's also the way that you can manage. Then we get into managing the situation. Your words are the key thing. What Bobby said is 100% true. But you even got to think of it on a broader stance of, not am I just managing my opponent who's trying to hurt me. I want to diffuse. I'll be like, hey, I am not above apologizing this early. I had a situation, this is a couple years ago. A I changed lanes to turn right, and some dude just thought I cut him off and fucking followed me. And I turned in, and I didn't notice for a while that he was following me. So me being me, I kind of, oh, okay, so he's following me. I circled back around, I took him to a dark parking lot. And then as he went to kind of pull in, as he pulled in, I backed in, and I backed to right next to his door so he couldn't get out of his car. And then I got out. Actually, I didn't even get out. I rolled down the window. I was like, hey, man. He's like, you are. And I was like, hey, I understand that I cut you off. I'm sorry. Whoa. He just wanted to yell at me, so I sat there. I was like, all right. And then after he kind of took a breath, I was like, so what do you want to do? Huh? What do you want to do? Do you want to fight? I apologized.
Yeah.
Are you venting? I'll listen to you. I'm happy to do that. I fucked up. I'll listen to you. And he's like, oh, it's I was like, well, I just led you to a dark parking lot, and I blocked your door so you can't get out. And the guy goes, huh? And I was like, and I'm sitting with my car in my window, and I have a good beat on you when I put my gun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I watched the guy go, oh. And I go, hey, I am sorry. But I also teach self-defense, and would you like my card? Now, that one, I had the wherewithal, and I was able to set up a situation. I wasn't doing that one. When you're old, like I am, like somebody wants to fight you, dude, there's always that striker's chance. You get popped right, you fucking step wrong, fuck, you might hurt yourself.
Probably.
So another one of those methods, like when I get into a lot of the self-defense curriculum, is a lot of the young bucks. You never met Rylan. He was kind of a little mixed up kid. He's running around here. Yeah, curly kid. So I gave him a stack of the farm cards. I said, here, keep these on you. He's like, what? And I was like, anytime somebody wants to fight you, give them one of these cards. And he came back a couple weeks later, because you do security, but he's a young kid.
Rylan did security?
Huh?
Rylan did security?
That's what brought him in here. He was a security guard, and some dude walked up and fucked him up.
120 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah,
He's not what you think about security.
But that's what brought him here.
Gotcha.
And within like a couple weeks, he came back and was like, Coach, that's amazing. I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, some dude wanted to fight me, and I gave him one of those cards. I was like, hey, would you fight me here? And the guy suddenly just changed his whole tune. And I was like, well, yeah, because now you're not just a 120-pound kid. Now you're somebody who's calm, cool, collected, and you gave him an adversary.
Yes.
And that changes things a lot.
It puts it more on a professional
Yeah.
field where you're like, oh shit, what did I just invite myself into with you?
Exactly. Because I'll tell people all the time, we even recently, it is his story to tell, but he had a situation with his sister's boyfriend, and they decided that they wanted to fight. So he calls me and says, Coach, I'm coming to the gym hot. I have somebody that I need to fight with. I know this. These are the code words. I give them out to people. It's like, all right, cool. I'll have everything ready. So I come down, I sit at the desk. They come in. They're all hot and heavy. I was like, oh, hey, welcome. I'm very polite. I'm very welcoming. Guy comes in. I was like, oh, well, if you want to train, I'm not saying we're fighting. We're training. Please fill out a waiver, and we'll get you all the gear you need. And at each step, I gave him the opportunity. I was like, hey, so, you guys want to spar? Yeah, I'm going to fuck this guy up. I was like, all right, cool. So you want to spar? How long do you want the rounds to be? And he's like, whoa, what? And I was like, well, we'll do rounds. Yeah, we'll do rounds. Your average amateur fighter's 3 minutes. We can do like 1 or 2 minutes for you. Professional rounds are 5 minutes. Well, I want professional rounds. Okay. I gave you the choice.
Oh, he's gonna get waxed.
And I go, okay. You get your gear on. All right, cool. And I go, hey, this first round, let's warm up. He's like, what? And I was like, well, I don't want you to get hurt. I want you to warm up and get loose. So we're not going to hit each other super hard this first round. So I let him kind of work. And the guy, he's fighting my guy. He's very experienced. And they kind of go out. And the guy comes charging at him. And I go, oh, hey. We're warming up, dude. I don't want you to pull a muscle or hurt yourself. Oh, okay.
You're making it all about him.
Well, and this is where it is incredibly manipulative. However, when you get into the idea of self-defense, sometimes the illusion of choice, the entire series of the Matrix movies, the illusion of choice is just as good as choice. And this is kind of a, I've done this routine with so many people over the years because this is a safe haven. So it's like, it's not like we bring people in here and we just fucking kill them. No, we give them choice, we treat it like a training session because it's a lesson. It's a lesson.
And you always stay in control. Always.
Always. So he makes it out of the first round. He's breathing super heavy. I'm like, hey, it's on a minute rest. You need more rest. He's a pretty boy. He's got all the muscles. I'm in shape. It's like, okay, this round, you can go nuts, dude.
He's already tired.
Well, he doesn't realize it. You know what I mean? It was all his choice.
You took a lot of starch out of him before he even got on the field. But he did it in a way where he still felt, he kept his dignity the whole way through.
And that's what the best part is. So, him and Elijah spar.
Elijah?
It's his story to tell.
Alright, I'll ask you.
And from that point on, he starts picking them apart. You know, within a couple moments, the nose is bleeding. Within a couple moments, his side is bright red, his legs are kicked. And then, right there, he kept him in around. You know, held him for the full time. Yep, just kept picking at him.
5 minutes of
Yeah,
picking
even
at
if it was 3 minutes, that didn't matter. Just kept picking at him. And then at the last one, he clipped him real good in the face, and he did the classic fight thing. He turned on his side, and Elijah gave him a good solid right across the liver. And he's done. So he drops to his knees. Elijah did a little grandstanding, but it's all right. You know, it's family.
Yeah.
I respect that. So there's certain things that we gotta take care of our people. So I then come back in and I give him everything he needs to clean himself up. It's like, hey, you know, there's a rule in the gym: clean up your blood, clean up your own mess. So he's sitting there in a puddle. He's bleeding on the mat on his hands and knees. And I just give him a rag. It's like, hey, clean yourself up. I have some rags to clean your body up.
You okay, bro?
And then we just leave him there in silence and let him clean himself.
Okay.
That's a life lesson.
It's a huge life lesson.
Exactly.
But he walks out of here learning a very valuable lesson, and he still has to use dignity.
I get a little weary, especially a lot of people, they view the black belt as this like big machismo over the top thing, and I know a lot of the Brazilians that kind of do that, and I even get weary of guys who hold that kind of high rank station who are out doing super aggressive shit, like, oh, I fucking just truck this guy. And it's like, yeah, cool, and I'm glad that worked out for you, but there's so many other factors anymore where you can take like a Krav Maga mindset and you're gonna overcome somebody. But if you don't focus on management with self-defense, what happens when the guy that you're actually going against really wants to fuck you up? Now, from the mental aspect, the reality is that most people who actually train are not going to be the kind of guys out there. A lot of the guys who actually train, those guys are going to be pretty passive about it. They're like, if you actually train, you realize that thanks for walking the camera.
Say hi. The Russian, JJ.
But when you get into like self-defense, most guys who are active, who do train, they're not the guys who are out picking fights. They're the guys who are trying to defuse. They want self-defense. So.
Holy smokes. The yin and the yang.
Exactly. So then when you get into guys who are going to pick fights, it's because they're angry because something stupid happened that they don't understand, so they're going to be pissed off. Or they're going to be drunk. Alcohol and inebriants are the other one you got to watch out for. So you have those two factors. Third factor is a dude and his girl. That's always that kind of tough one. Like, guys, they're usually predatory douchebags. You know, they're perfectly fine roughing up their chick for whatever reason. Those guys, that's kind of their own little subset of humans who are going to be that shitty person who's going to pick fights with people. It's the other story I just told you.
Oh, okay.
take care of him.
Yes, we do.
So in a situation like that, so going back to Ryland, giving him the farm cards and be like, hey, you know, any troubles. And when I have some of these young guys who are doing that, that's what I do. And they think I'm just usually trying to get them to the market, which a little bit's that way. But the odds of somebody coming in because you want to fight them is not. It's pretty low. It's very low. However, we're lucky enough that the reputation of this place does actually fend off. Funny enough. So that's usually one of my first lines of self-defense is get them a card. The second one is situational awareness and understanding where you're going to fight. Now the third one is crowd management. You don't want to fight a guy alone in a dark alley, but yes, being aware.
Isn't that what you said? You always want to be on top when you're in a dark alley alone with your head on a swivel.
MMA, you want to be on top. Fights, like real life fights, you want to be on top. The reason being is because you never know if they have a friend running around. If you get into a fight in a public place, i.e., you're the classic one is the bar fight, because a lot of people think about that. But it doesn't matter. Walmart, King Soopers, Target, whatever. Any public place where you would have a altercation verbal, because it always starts verbal. And you weren't able to defuse it, this person's really going to fight you. And then now you have to go hands. Now the next part of that part is also how people perceive the fight. Because we're in a day now of cameras and videos. People are less likely to actually physically help you, but they'll pull out a camera and video you. So whenever you get in a fight, you have to assume that it's going to be on video. Oddly enough, Jamie Rhodes came in yesterday. Yeah, counseling session. But number of months ago, it had been about 2 years ago, some dude comes up and picks a fight with him at a gas station. You know, he got into the pump quicker than the other guy, whatever. Clint was a professional Muay Thai fighter.
Oh, God.
It's been about 7-8 years removed. He has not kept up on his skills. Still very angry. The guy goes one of these and flinches at him, and he, of course, clocked him. But here's where we go. In a self-defense situation, that guy flinched, but he cold cocks him, and then they find out, oh, you're a professional fighter.
And you hit first.
So now it's a legal situation.
Okay.
Has a couple months of going through. And it's not that I hadn't talked to him about this stuff, because then you analyze the situation. All right. So the guy made an immediate threat. Did you tell the police that you were afraid for your life? First, we always tell them, I was afraid for my life.
Saw something shiny.
Yep, I was afraid for my life. Even saying something, it could be a complete bullshit. I saw a knife. I thought he had a gun. Doesn't matter. Because it sets the pretense that you were defending your life. That gives you a lot more leeway, even if you have a history of fighting. Then the next thing is your verbal cues. If you are under the assumption that a bunch of people are watching, so stop here. You ever played the game Telephone? You're of that generation. They sit a bunch of people in line. They tell the person on the end a story.
Oh, yeah, and then it
And
kind of transmutes the way down, and it gets diluted.
Yes. Well, it's another thing with human perception. A married man, you'll get this. You and your wife witness a situation, but you both remember it completely different, and you end up fighting about it.
All the time.
Yeah. It's a real thing because human perception is based on your own needs and your own means. So you look at this and you go, oh well, that's a peach, and she looks at it and goes, nah, I think it's a pear.
The fucking furry apple.
Yeah, exactly. But later in life, you end up like, oh, remember when? And you're like, oh, I remember the peach. She remembered a pear, and then it goes from there. So the next piece of that puzzle, because you know the next thing that's going to happen when Law gets involved after they interview you two, and he's off in the hospital and shit, they go around and they interview witnesses. So then you got to feed into the, I was afraid for my life. Hey man, I don't want to fight. Hey, I'm not here to fight. Please stop. Please stop. I don't want to fight. Help me. I don't want to fight you. Help. Can anyone help me? I don't want to fight. Even if you are on top of the guy punching him, help me, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight this guy. Help me, I don't want to fight this guy.
Never thought of that.
It might be on camera, but he gives the perception that you're afraid.
Distressed.
You're distressed. You're afraid. You're calling for help. And then when they interview witnesses, what do they say?
He was
I know
yelling
that guy
for
wanted to
help.
fight, and like they started fighting, but the whole time he was yelling for help.
Yeah. I see why we didn't go into technique.
There has to be a
There has to
mindset.
be a basis for the technique, and there has to be, like, my mindset
Yes.
has to be of a mature,
You asked
responsible person.
Actually, an incredibly loaded question this morning, which is cool. That's why these are good sessions, because I can sit here and do this. But when we get into the self-defense, the piece that a lot of people miss is the moves are cool. We do the moves. The moves are cool. The reality is, though, is that you also have to think management. You have to think about what you're trying to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, it's get out of there. But it's also get out of there in a safe fashion, but you also don't catch charges. Another story. One of the knuckleheads around here. He's drinking at a bar. Whatever happens, some dude follows him home from the bar all the way to his house. The guy comes to his house and basically bumps in the front door. You know, it's unclear as if there was an altercation at the bar. The guy gets to his house, comes in the front door. So, individual goes, "Get out of my fucking house." He proceeds to push kick him out of the house. And that should be it, right? Now, that individual kicked him out of his house, ended up with 6 months. It wasn't because he was defending his household. It's because that after he kicked him out of his house, he proceeded to mount him in the front yard and work his ground and pound in front of the neighbors. And since this individual loves running around telling everybody how he's an amazing fighter, and
If you would have beat him up inside his house, it would have been okay.
Yeah.
but this
Yeah.
is good situational awareness. You have to understand what you're doing and what you're trying to do.
So if the temper's ruling me, I'm not even coming from the right perspective. Yeah, we gotta be thinking. And so what I need to learn how to do is to really think when I'm on my feet quickly. And I'm having a little trouble with that, but I'm gonna work on it.
Either way, you're doing really well because you can roll in here. And even though like you've been focusing more on movement and stuff, if you can outmove somebody, you have. Because realistically, some dude comes up swinging at you. Even when we were just kind of standing there and I threw a swing at you and you kind of ducked it and moved off to the side. That's good. Evading somebody is good. The thing that fucks you is letting your ego do it.
Oh, brother.
People say weird shit to me constantly, and now with my other job, people walk up and go, it's obvious they're picking on me. People say stuff. I have 2 lines that I say pretty outright. It's like, one is, man, that sounds like a terrible idea. It's simple.
So he says,
But
"Go
everyone
fuck
I say
yourself."
that to, it stops them dead in their tracks, and they think like, what? It's like, yeah, that sounds like a terrible idea.
Very
Why?
common,
Why would you
disarming
wanna do
answer.
Yeah, why would you wanna, why would you wanna do that? And then the other one, this one's great. They come out and they go, yeah, fuck you, and I go, and ruin such a good time. We're having a good time. Sit, enjoy yourself. If you had too much to drink, you start drinking some water.
Big deal.
But those are those kind of things where this is what I mean by letting ego get into you.
So you don't let anybody against you.
Why?
You know, that's just a good character to have.
So, this brings up a good point. You watched the original Roadhouse movie, right?
That was pretty cool.
So you've seen it.
Yeah.
The new one that came out, you watched the new one. The new Roadhouse with
I've
Conor
watched half
McGregor.
of it.
Yeah, it's hard, huh?
Yeah. Connor's such a dick, I can hardly stand it.
But they lost in the new one the lessons of the original. And one of the lessons in the original, when he was training the other barbacks, and one of them says, well, what if he calls my mom a whore? And the first thing out of his mouth, it says, well, is she? But when you really think about it, that's kind of a disarming thought process. Oh, you called my mom a whore. Is my mom a whore? My mom was actually a legit prostitute, so yeah, technically she was. You know, what's hilarious is if you agree with it. You're right, my mom kind of was a whore.
Mom's not the biggest mom I've ever had.
And then all of a sudden it's like, what? What? Another one. So I'm telling you stories because I'm conditioned.
We relate.
Yes. Next story. Me and one of my fighters, Jamal, were driving back from Oklahoma. I taught a seminar, and I took him to a bunch of gyms that I know that are friendly, let him spar, kind of just getting him out and getting experience. We're coming back from Oklahoma, and we're in some little BFE, I think Alta, Kansas. Yeah. Basically, a group of houses and a gas station. Pull up to the gas station. I'm getting gas. Some truck pulls up behind there. Obviously, a good old boy. He's in a hurry and upset. And I'm kind of doing my things and getting my gas. And, I come up, and Jamal, he's black. So he's like, dude, there's this white cowboy who looks very upset. It's like, dude, relax. It's like, no, I'm black in fucking Kansas. I'm not going to relax. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, it's fine. It's okay. So we come up, and the guy comes up to the door. You need to move your fucking truck. And I was like, oh God, are you okay, sir? And he goes, what? I was like, are you okay, sir? Do you need help? And I kind of started opening my door. And I opened my door, and I was like, can I help you? Like, do you need help with your truck? Is there something wrong? I'm more than happy to help you, sir. Are you a veteran, sir? Thank you for your service. I'm here to help you. Oh yeah, the guy, it was hilarious because the way Jamal described it was like, that was some fucking Jedi mind trick shit.
Dude,
but all it was is, it's like, hey, that guy was coming up, he just wanted to yell at me, but I didn't even give him anything to yell. In fact, every time he went to raise his voice, I was like, oh my God, I'm here to help you. Like, is your truck okay? Is it starting all right? And then eventually it gets down to like, he's like, well, I'm just here to get gas. I was like, oh, yes, sir, I'll move my truck immediately. And away we go. But even those kind of things, like, the best.
Seems to me like what we have in resources and ability and technique, we should foster that through patience and contemplation and treating people as well as we can until we don't have a choice.
Well, this is why I say, like, your anger issues, a lot of times that can be diffused. When alcohol's involved, that changes the scenario. And then that third party, the abusers. And that's usually something that women have to deal with. Guys, they're looking to fuck or they're looking to be horny or something along those lines. And it's probably going to get physical because they feel that they can overpower you. But man to man, even a large man being upset with a smaller man, if that smaller man shows nothing but composure, a lot of that can stop a physical thing just right away. And especially if you can kind of rewrite their mindset. And like I said, my approach has always been just, oh wow, that's my 2 cents. Oh, that's a terrible idea. And I even have a third one. Hey man, can I buy you a beer? Can I buy you a beer, dude? Like, if you had a rough day. Because then you take it's that disarming. Before you even actually throw a punch, before you ever actually have to do anything wrong.
You like Switzerland, man. I'm here to enjoy, and let's do it together.
If you left here, what would make you fight? In your everyday life, when you really think about it, what would make you fight?
If I saw my wife or child being hurt.
Because that means you're defending, but you're fighting to defend. But I mean, so somebody cuts you off, is that worth a fight?
No.
Maybe if they hit your car. But if they hit your car and it was just you and it was an obvious accident, that's not a fight.
That's not a fight, that's an accident.
Exactly. But it's not like a lot of people are going to intentionally ram their car into you.
No, and I'm a very peaceful man.
Exactly. So when people get angry, usually if there's an accident, if they have their family in the car, then they're upset. Why? Exactly. So then you have to show that you're not a threat to the family, okay?
That's a whole nother level.
Because that's what it is. Now then you get into the next level of ego. Guys who are looking to fight to prove something. Those are those young bucks. When was the last time you felt like you had to prove something?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while for me. How about you, Professor? When was the last time you felt you had to prove something?
Tell my 4-year-old he will get something.
That's different. And then prove something for yourself that it was worth fighting for. That you gotta prove that you're an expert.
Like even in your and my conversations about other stuff, it's like, well, what are you gonna do? Get in a fight? In our world, if it's amongst our peers, it's 100% acceptable. That's something I even joke about. It's like, well, if you guys are training, you get in a fight on the mat. Cool. Me as a coach, as long as you guys are within the realm of cool. This is what we're here for. If you're gonna fight, fucking fight. Is it mutual combat? Cool. Is the waiver signed? Cool. That's even my joke between the husband and wives or the couples in here. It's like you both signed a waiver, so it's not domestic violence.
Oh, I'm gonna get Tammy to sign one.
But it's also understanding of what's the goal? What's the goal? So when you kind of break these things down from just the mental self-defense of it, understanding, well, I'm not going to aggravate, and I'm not going to get into a fight.
And that's our natural tendency as men is to take whatever hits us and throw it back twice with the venom and the disdain and the hatred.
Justin, many years ago, and this is many years ago, watched me fuck with this personal trainer, super religious guy,
Extremely religious.
but also young and fucking hopped up on testosterone. And the guy, he just kept fucking picking at me and saying shit to me.
He was geared up, so like he was on stuff.
He was on
He
stuff.
was on, yeah, and he was raised his whole life, like through religion, and like he had an answer for everything. And at that point, he was
Except
just,
me.
he just was almost right out of college, but like, he would get in a rush because it was
Overwhelming.
So he got aggressive, and I was there teaching the jiu-jitsu and stuff and working with fighters. I was pretty low-key at that point. I was like just there. But this kid, he starts getting aggressive with me. And I started just kind of breaking down his entire theological thought processes. Because I knew he was super religious, so I started picking at his beliefs. And I just watched him malfunction. Now that one, I don't know if it necessarily counts as self-defense because I already knew enough about the guy that I knew where.
religious fanatics can be pretty crazy.
Oh, they're scary as fuck.
Historically.
But he was also young, and young people.
They do more to damage. I believe in God, and it does more to damage what we're trying to do in the world. The good people who are trying to be, it does more to damage. It's like we're all supposed to find our own path.
Yeah.
You know.
And without getting too much into theology, it's just understanding that sometimes even if you are in that situation, I became vividly aggressive, but I wasn't going to come to a physical fight because I knew that's kind of what he started kind of making those hints, and I was like, well, you can come in and train with me anytime.
A little dressing down never hurt.
I usually refer to it as give them something to think about.
Man, I'm a Christian and I hate the Bible. I hate when people beat me with the Bible.
It's rough.
It is rough. It's like, hey, when you go home and you're looking at porn and masturbating, are you going to keep that in mind? Fuck.
Somebody said something to me, is like, in the realm of older men, you can tell how good of a person they are based on how long it took them to start masturbating again after 9/11. Well, because that was fucking America, man. How long did it take you to start masturbating after 9/11?
I don't think we missed a beat.
I don't know. This was kind of bad jokes today.
Oh, by then I'd already served my country, fuck it. Well, I appreciate that because, honestly, never,
Morning.
ever thought like the responsibility that comes with being what we're being.
So a lot of people don't pay attention to this. So when you sign the contract here, we have a student oath. And the student oath essentially says, we don't want to hear about you fighting us.
Oh yeah.
And stuff like that. Now it's mostly in there for the young bucks. And there have been situations over the years where, I've had some of the younger guys that get in fights in school, get in fights in situations, and I go, okay, well, what were you fighting for? And most of the time, we've done really well here. He's a bigger kid. He wanders in and out of here. I want to say Juan. It's Juan. He got into an altercation in high school, huh?
He lost a ton of weight.
I know, but back when he was in,
heavyweight.
yeah, when he was in and out of here in his 14s and 15s, I think he was like a
15-year-old.
sophomore in high school, and some bully was picking on a girl that he was fucking crushing on, so he proceeded to get in a fight with him. And I even got he fucking brought me the video, which I was like, that's fucking awesome. And it was great because it was exactly what we teach. The guy threw punches at him. He ducked the punch, body lock, dragged him down to the ground, got full mount. And then he proceeded to start hitting him, and I was like, okay, what did you do wrong? And he goes, I know, coach, and I was so mad at him. And I was like, okay, well, luckily in this situation, it's a suspension. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. You have to go to court, so you're going to have to pay court fees. You got a ticket, so you're going to have to pay a ticket. But I need you to really think about this stuff as you get older. That kid, if you sat on top of him and just proved that you were on top, or even you got on top of him, so one of those kind of mastering things. If you've been here for some of the MMA classes, Justin was doing it on Monday with that Xavier kid. We teach you to get on top, and it's not just that you're hitting him, but there's the loud noise. When you think about that from a standpoint of self-defense, you get a guy down, you put him down, and then you go, and you just fucking hit right next to his head.
Right next to
Was that a gun? I thought I was just smacking the mat. Yeah.
It's okay. But it's not wrong.
But do it like if
It's 100%
their ears right here and you're just like.
But there were a couple times where you gave a big one and dropped your elbow down, and it's like, but that's what we teach. It wasn't a good or bad thing. It was
Yeah,
like,
no, I was like, I don't know.
but that's what I mean. It's that much ingrained in you.
Yeah.
It's not that you're like,
No, I.
old dog, dude. That's what you did to Xavier is 100% exactly what you were trained to do. That's it. That's the training. But you think about it from a standpoint, and this is what I was explaining to the young kid. You got him down. He's down. He's not going to hurt you. And then you remind him what you can do to him. And then everything else is good from that.
So, I'd rather scare you
Yeah.
than hurt.
Yeah. Because a lot of people, when they get into self-defense, so you think of like Krav Maga and stuff, it becomes very, they want to overwhelm and attack. But a lot of that stuff doesn't keep in mind the fight or flight of a human. Like, if I'm going to put you down and I'm going to hurt you, I don't want to hurt you unless I have you in a position that I have you contained. Then I can hurt you. But if I hurt you, a lot of times if you hurt them, so you think about someone hurt you,
Somebody
you fight
hurts
harder.
me, it's on.
Yeah, you fight
It's
harder.
really on.
Exactly. So even when you get into the self-defense idea, like, yeah, there is a percentage of humans that will fold after a fight. But there's also that percentage of humans that's going to fight much harder. So it's almost like rolling the dice. If you go right to hurting them or go right to harming them, then you need to make sure.
You go from a surety to an unsurety.
Yes.
When you could have controlled that, you could have stayed in surety.
So this is where you get into videos from Vinny's hometown, the Matt Serra buffet video. The guy who picked a fight with him at a buffet in Las Vegas.
Oh.
Matt Serra fucking
So
hits a
good.
cheap ass fucking Osoto, puts the guy down, gets mount on him, and in classic training, I mean, it was so textbook. He's in full mount, he even raises up and he's controlling the hands. He's just sitting here like this on the back. And the guy's yelling obscenities, he's like, yeah, it's cool, dude. You really want to fight? You know, it's all fucking beautiful. Like, as far as like from a self-defense
It was
lesson.
perfect, wasn't it?
Exactly. You controlled the guy, you contained the guy, and then you sat there and waited for whatever to show up. And the whole time, if you watch his body language, he's controlling, he's trying to talk to the guy, he's like, hey man, I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. And then he's doing this, he's looking around, he's making sure,
Nobody's.
yep, none of his homies are going to roll up and jump on him real quick.
So that was textbook. And when
Yes.
Ryan Hall got it from that
Yeah, right. I seen that one. Yeah.
that was interesting too because Ryan took a lot of shit before he had to stand up and defend himself.
But that's another one of those things. Again, if someone calls your mom a whore, is she?
You know, it's not. I'm not going to worry about that.
Yeah,
That's not. It has no bearing on my life.
exactly. So then it
I don't
comes
like
down
my
to the
mom.
management.
Hey.
Now Cord's here.
Yeah.
Hurry up and get your stuff on Cord.
Okay. Hurry up, Corey.
The Ryan Hall one, he was at a dinner with like a bunch of other grapplers, right?
Yes,
It's
sir.
like most of the people that do this also hang out with people that do this.
Yeah.
Like we don't leave our houses very often. When we do, it's with our own time. And so it's like
It's actually 100%
there's
the way
half a
it's
dozen
going.
people here. They're all capable of backhanding you, and like like you're like the weakest one's kind of like, who you want to handle it, and you're looking at the white belt of the group, and you're like, all right, get your reps in.
Get your reps in. Because the dude was drunk, and they all told him, hey,
But-
that's Ryan Hall. Don't mess with him.
Don't. The last time I went out to have a beer, I think it was a couple of years ago now, outside of where I went with Danny. The last time we went to have a beer, right? And it was at this bar right over here, and sure as shit, there's another professor and all of his students from a gym across town, and we're all fucking sitting there having, and you're just like, it just be conjuring around that those times.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
That was Turk, wasn't it?
no, it was Todd.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then it was, that was when
That's how it is when we run into
Sean
places.
was still with him,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then Sean was like, and then Todd was like, here, get a beer, and I was like, no, I don't drink, and he thought it was because I was broke, and he's like, no, I'll buy you a beer, and I was like, no, I don't drink, and he kind of like, oh, you really don't, like.
That's always one of those kind of funny things, too. If you sit there and you go, oh, I don't smoke or I don't do anything else, they leave you alone. But if you say you don't drink, they always automatically assume there's a problem.
The universe is
Or are
like,
you an
"Let me
alcoholic?
test you." Yeah. I don't want money.
I don't drink, and I was an alcoholic.
All right, Cord.
Yeah.
So now we're going to do a couple techniques.
Okay.
Cord, have you ever heard the term cowboy punch?
No.
Did you ever watch old westerns?
Yeah.
Yep. The big, wide, big punches. Also really prevalent in Star Trek.
Okay.
With the exception of Captain Kirk always hit fuck, what's the sacrifice you go through? It's not Makikini, it's Captain Kirk was always big for Tomonagi. Also the monkey flip. He grabbed the guy, put his feet on his hips.
Oh yeah.
Yep. If you watch pretty much all Star Trek, it's either big cowboy punches or him doing that to people. So, remember the technique we worked before?
Yes.
First line of defense is keeping your range and understanding. He wants to fight you. Keep your knee bent, yep. So where do we kick? Why don't we kick higher?
Oh, we don't kick higher, so we don't get caught.
Yes.
So we're kicking down here.
Yes. So you want to think of as good brief kicks. You want to kick with your heel, with your toes pointed up, so you're kicking on the IT band. Now, we're going to assume that he has absolutely no training, which I've seen him fight even. Fuck you, coach. But that's kind of the thing. So when you get into this stuff, so we're starting from 0 to 0. We're going to pretend that you've never done any training. I tell you, okay, put your hands up. Now the next piece of management. I explain this, so put your hands up and have your hands open. Look at me like this. Okay. Think of it like, hey, I don't want to fight. I explain this to people. So you guys know I taught preschool special ed for a lot of years. Which means at some point I had to hang out on the playgrounds and, the usual stuff. I gotta make sure the little shits don't fucking die. But more than anything, kids get in fights. It is a real thing. They are the most visceral. So if I'm sitting over there and I see two kids in front of each other, and one kid does this and one kid does this.
Oh.
Which kid do you think is
Aggressor.
Yes.
Defender.
Yes. Which comes back to what I was talking about. We always assume we're under cameras. We always assume that people are watching. So, even if you're kicking the shit out of him, I don't want to fight, please stop. Please don't fight, yes. I don't want to do this.
Stop, get away.
Yes,
Get away, I'm scared of you.
So when we start talking about our self-defense curriculum, we fight with our hands out. Now you can take a page out of John Jones' book and point your fingers at his eyes. But that's where you get into oddly enough, none of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu curriculum really approaches guy gouging, grabbing
Well, but
fish
that's
at
the
the
good
end.
shit when you're on the street.
I don't know, it's a yes or no. Vinny, where you came from, did they ever do any small joint eye gouging for their self-defense stuff?
You guys have never been.
Do you know, did
airborne
they
school.
follow the old Gracie curriculum, the cowboy punch defense, stuff like that? Or did you do much self-defense? Not at all? Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So, we get into this kind of stuff, you're defending, and then you realize he's going to take the big cowboy punch at you, so now we got to close the distance. Good, remember to hook the shoulder, elbow high. How you feeling right now, Cord?
I'm feeling like
So-
it's gonna trick me.
Yep. Good. Now here's where you get into the next question. Are you going to disengage after you drop him? And
I
miss
am,
the chance?
because I'm an old fucker and I'm gonna get distance, maybe get in my car and jam.
Good choice. Good choice. But this is an assessment thing. In here, it takes you to get through a door and maybe another door to get to your car. He's younger and faster than you. So, if you're going to turn and run, you also have to take into account if the guy can catch you. So then it's a judgment choice of should I mount and maintain and control, or can I get out of there? Now, when we do with the women's self-defense, it's like, okay, so we're gonna knock the guy down. A lot of times we're gonna do a kick to the crotch or something and then get out of there.
Okay.
You know, something that disarms very quickly. So any guy's gonna usually react to a good stomp to the crotch or a good stomp to the
Maybe
face.
a nice little punch on the bridge of the nose.
But this is also where we have to keep in mind that women also are granted a certain amount of leeway when it comes to fighting and self-defense. Another great story. My very first female blue belt, Kendra. She trained with me. She She actually became the president of the UNC MMA after I did, and then she followed me out to Fort Collins, and I was teaching at Z's training gym for a while. And suddenly she disappears for a week. Didn't think too much of it. After a while, I usually call people. Sometimes people take breaks or something. I try not to be up in everybody's shit. She shows up a week later and she's got fingerprints all over her neck. And she's like, "Hey, coach, I'm in trouble." So we sit down on the edge of the mat after practice, and I was like, "All right, what kind of trouble you in? What can I do?" She's like, "Hey, I was at a frat party at UNC, and I've been crushing on this linebacker, and I thought it was cool, but he was getting a little aggressive, so I told him no, and then he pinned me to the wall." And I was like, "Oh, he pinned you by your throat to the wall." Like, keep in mind, Kendra, at that point, she's a little heavier now, but she's like 120, maybe 130 pounds. Average small female. He pinned her to the wall enough that he left fingerprints on her neck. First thing. Now, it wasn't at this part. What she did is, the double arm bar that we teach? Somebody to reach up, when we talk about reaching up, grabbing your neck. Throw your legs over, and you take the double arm bar. Well, since she was pinned to the wall, she threw her legs up over while she was pinned to the wall, which means her body weight fell. And his arms broke.
Yes.
So, yes, but because, he's screaming and crying, "I'm gonna fucking press charges, you ruined my football career." He yelled at her the whole time, even though the police came and pressed charges on him for assault and all these things. But he's a popular football player, things like that, and the classic thing that happens because it's a lot easier, even after the fact, even after rape situation, to intimidate women. At which point, as she's sitting here telling me this story, I go, okay, so at what point can anyone say that you didn't defend yourself? One, you were pinned to a wall, and you did a situation, he fell and he broke his arms. Deserves it, but it happened. And then you get into the idea of, okay, so in any court, if you were sitting here looking at a fucking linebacker, even Vinny's an imposing man, and a 120-pound female with fucking marks on her throats, which person are you siding with?
Yeah.
How'd that big guy get his arms broken? I fell. He broke his arms. In the end, she actually won, and he ended up getting in trouble, suspended. However, she ended up having to leave UNC because of the backlash of the football team and stuff. So basically, she ended up being blown up. But she's a doctor now and still did all of these. So just a shitty situation, which illustrates how shitty that type of stuff
But it
is.
also shows how careful we need.
Exactly.
That the alternative could go from control to purely devastating. And then there's factors in that we can't control anymore.
Yes.
Cops, social workers.
Alright, so then we get into our control situations. From this in the traditional curriculum, when you block out the hands, from there you lean and then you scoop up the guillotine. However, boom, so you're there, lean, get his head down, right arm scoops, set your guillotine. There you are. Really good way from a self-defense aspect. Good. Lock your hands. Remember, drop your level, push your hips in.
Yeah, I guess
Now,
so.
Next piece, when he throws that punch, hook at the back of his shoulder. Your elbows work his wings. One elbow is in his bicep to keep him from swinging with his arm. The other elbow's under the neck. And then you're keeping and moving away from his free arm because he's going to be punching on you. So you see how you're grabbing material?
Yeah.
Hook behind his armpit, like you're trying to hook right
Get
into
into
his
that meat, buddy.
There you go. There you are. Now use your elbows like wings. Push his face away. See? Even if he wants to punch you, that doesn't seem like it's as bad anymore.
Yeah.
So you feel him pushing on you, and then you reach out, scoop his head. Yes.
That's it, boy. Snake.
Yes. Yep. Well, and here's where. So historically, if you were to have trained at the Elio Gracie version of the gyms, they focus on self-defense, and it was the big deal, the self-defense, and that's what built you so that you could be a fighter. Hence, like Hoist Gracie in the UFCs and whatnot. His style of Gracie training was more self-defense. It started in self-defense and then became more towards sport. Where then, if you follow the Carlinos lineage, their focus was always sport, and through sport, they became able to defend themselves. One of the things that you've got to think about when you're doing this is, you guys as blue belts, soon to be blue belt, you guys already know all the submissions. Because I can sit here and go, okay, so you're defending the punch. That's the only part you don't have. But at some point I told you, hey, you should go do some striking. You actually kind of just did it on your own. But usually when people are training and they're coming up as white belts and they're doing jiu-jitsu, I encourage them around right before they get their blue belt. Go to a boxing class, go do some Muay Thai, because every grown man should know how to throw a punch. You just should. It's a good idea. You should also know what it feels like to get punched in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Also good. It sucks, but you should know. At the very least, to be able to, if you get punched in the face, you know you can keep doing shit if you're still conscious.
Yeah. It helps.
Yes. Alright, so as we're going through self-defense, as we can do this shoulder control, you can trip him and knock him down. You can go to full mount. You can go to a guillotine. So both your arms inside.
Both arms.
There you go. So you always want to think like you're taking the inside track on him. And then you're going to swim over, get the guillotine. You already know how to throw a guillotine, so we've already covered guillotine in so many fucking ways. Boom, you're even doing like more of a Mackenzie team. Yeah, yeah. Alright, great job. The Marcellitine is when you lock your fingers over. The Mackenzie team's more the praying position. Yeah, it's all just different grips, really. Whatever. Yeah, did you tap them already?
Yeah.
I was about to say, you should tap them again. Now, we go back to the legal aspect. You just tried to take a man's life. Here's how bad this gets. If you're in the state of Nebraska, chokeholds are considered a felony. It is actually one of the reasons why MMA had such a hard time getting a foothold in Nebraska. Because technically, if you're MMA fighting and you put a chokehold on somebody, you are committing a felony in the state of Nebraska. Because if you choke somebody, you can take their life. So therefore, is throwing a choke in self-defense the greatest idea?
No.
It's
After that information.
Well, this is where, like, when I can do this in a private lesson and give you the whole spiel and the whole ideology behind what we're talking about with our self-defense and whatnot, there's also the whole legal aspect, because you're also kind of at the mercy of what the laws are in the area. And then even if you happen to find yourself somewhere else. Technically, when Octavio choked that cowboy out with his scarf, he committed a felony. You just happen to... Huh?
Because there's 2 states worth of felony for chokeholds, right?
There's actually 7.
There's actually 7?
Yes. Why do you think I have to know this?
Yeah.
Because I travel around.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you do. You have to check under state laws sometimes when you're teaching stuff to keep in mind. I'm very well versed in the laws in Wyoming because every so often I drive up on a weekend and I work at the state prison in Wyoming, and I work with the guards. And even within the confines of they are guards in a prison, you still have to understand that we are teaching. Hey, she made it. You still have to keep in mind that you are teaching within a certain realm, and if you even though you are defending your life, even though I am afraid for my life, you also just committed a felony by choking an enemy.
What do you suggest, Professor?
If you're gonna choke him, you better make sure that you can pretend that you think you saw a weapon.
Okay.
I thought I saw a knife. I thought I saw a gun.
Double leg full man.
Yeah, double knot. Yeah. Or even with that cowboy punch defense, take him down and get on top and manage him there.
Just contain it.
Yeah.
Contain it. Wear out.
But the reason I point this out is because this is the self-defense curriculum. It's a couple moves, but this is what's taught here, and then you go to the guillotine, or here you go to a sotogari, or from here you slip into the kimura, which is the next piece. So you come in with that same hand position. From there, you reach over the shoulder, you cup the shoulder, slide your hand down, catch the kimura, and then rotate behind him with the kimura. Boom. So your right arm goes, right arm first. Contain his shoulder with your armpit. Nope, same side. So put his shoulder in your armpit, right armpit. There you go. Clamp the shoulder you're on. You're already other side.
Clamp the
There you
shoulder.
Go. Yep. Now, once you clamp onto his shoulder with your armpit, slide down and grab his wrist. And then your kimura, now get behind him and help him to the ground. 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 And at this point, this is where we joke with law enforcement. Quit resisting, stuff like that.
I'm scared. Leave me alone.
Yeah, no.
Where's the cops?
Yes, 100%. Yes, yes.
This guy is being
Give me
mean.
help. Give
I
me
can't
help.
control him.
Yo, you're absolute. That's exactly it. So, a couple of nuances. Oh. Come here and defend. Catch.
Oh, come on. Damn it. Make that look so easy.
Here. There you go. Yes, help him down. And then the goal is generally put him on his back. No, you have the kimura. Put him on his back. Oh, you're so nice.
You have to work with the dopey old dude.
I just need something to sit on. Keep working. Put his head down. Yep. Now drive him over and get into side control.
Like this?
Yeah, just drive him over. There you go. Now you can hang out there. Oh, you're gonna teabag him? Cool.
No, he isn't.
Alright, so that actually brings up a good point. Recently, a UFC fighter 2 fights ago was booted out of the UFC forever for doing what?
Biting the guy?
Fighting. This is a street fight.
Yeah. I just thought about that. I was like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah, you just put your balls over his face. Not a good idea. Because you have to keep in mind when people are stressed and we are talking self-defense and fighting, people will resort to scratching, people will resort to biting, people will resort to all sorts of fucked up shit. One of the most common things I deal with the guards is they have people who have AIDS in there, and they try to spit in their face and spit in their eyes. They try to cut themselves. They'll bite their lips and spit on you to try to get you. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, this is where you get into kind of a whole nother realm of the self-defense and things like that, where you're kind of going through. Which is why when you go into, we're talking self-defense, a lot of it actually comes down to how simple can I make it? Because we can make it just, you want it.
That was really simple but very.
Yes. So therefore, you take them over to Kimura, you go to your mount, because mount tends to be the situation. Now this is very funny because when I trained under the Bering family, I learned a lot of the basic self-defense from Hales and Gracie. And when I was later, after I'd been kicked out of Bearings, I went and played with Hales and Gracie and Steve Hardinsky, the guys over at Caparo. And I learned a lot of stuff from Hales and Gracie, which was straight Gracie curriculum. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. Fucking loved it. It was interesting because a lot of the stuff I'd been exposed to, it wasn't so much self-defense. We had our progressive systems, but it wasn't self-defense. It was more how do you build people up for basic jiu-jitsu. So when you get into some of this stuff, it's also being aware now that we also have to pay attention to the law and things like that, but also just the nature of humans themselves. People are going to scratch, people are going to bite. When we get to women's self-defense, we encourage the women to scratch and bite, because at the very least they're going to have some DNA. And that's one of those, like, they're going to come away with something.
So,
Yeah.
Understood. Understood.
If it ain't black or white, next scratch and bite, is that what you said? It's like one of my favorite Bender lines. No, it's one of my favorite Bender lines. It's from the episode with the penguins. Because Bender, like, his program gets fucked up. He thinks he's a penguin for a while. Except he's teaching all the penguins to be these horrible, evil creatures. And eventually the penguins all kill each other down to the last ones. They both have a gun pointed at each other.
I blame Melissa on you. Like you're the reason I listen to like this.
I will, you know, I've been blamed for a lot more, and I'm okay with it. Alright, so, now we're back in class. My class options before talking to Michael as we were going to work, attacking when somebody's on top of you in side control. However, it's also been a long time since we covered the self-defense curriculum. So if you guys want to work through some self-defense stuff, which is basically just diffusing bar fights, we can also do that. What's the vote?
Side control. No,
You want side control stuff? Cool. Alright. Everybody warmed up for this? Alright, come here, Corks. I love fucking you up. Who does it? Fuck you. Alright, I'll be underneath. Couple of easy things. When we get into jiu-jitsu, the traditional doctrine of when you're caught in side control is that you want to either get back to guard or get to your feet, which is what we focused on yesterday about just getting back to your feet and working from there. Now, you don't see a lot of stuff about attacking from underneath, or if you do, you're familiar with something referred to as the baseball choke, right? You know baseball choke. Vinny, you got baseball, right?
Never hit.
Right,
Never
baseball.
hit.
Yeah. Baseball choke? Yeah, okay. Now, there's a number of other scenarios from underneath, but one of the reasons that they're not necessarily taught as you should do this is because a lot of stuff, you actually have no way to contain their mobility if they're on top of you in side control. So that can get you in a lot of trouble. And oddly enough, most submissions that you would be able to throw from underneath in side control are actually really easy to stop by going to mount. So that's something to keep in mind as we're kind of going through some of this stuff. We're going to start off with the baseball choke just to make sure everybody has it. The video was demonstrating, it's literally like reaching up into the collar and handling it like a baseball bat. The bigger the human neck is, the more space you have to give between here. Now Sarah, you being the smaller human in the room, you're going to have to give a fair amount of space too.
I know.
Because you're trying to get around these noggins. So that's also a real thing. I'd recommend working with him because he'll be closer to your size. Plus he's got good experience, so you'll do great. From there, we pull in. The whole idea of the baseball choke is to work here and roll your elbow underneath. Unless you do the 5-finger no-gi version, where you can reach around this way and grab your fingers, and then use it that way if you want to play with the no-gi version. If you do the no-gi, make sure your wrists are pretty nimble. I don't do the no-gi version when my wrists hurt too much. So then we get down to the rubber hits the road. Dude, the weather. I woke up this morning, I was like, oh. So this is what it's like to have sex with me. No, okay. Alright. No matter what I'm doing from underneath, I need to create my space first. That should always be your priority. Walking the shoulders to getting to your hip escape, making sure I'm creating my angle. Because Cord's not going to come in here and just lay on me lazily like this. Cord's going to be coming in and he's looking for love in all the wrong places. And I have to be here. So I need to be walking my shoulders, get myself away, getting to here. Now I have the ability. First hand in, second hand in. Holding his collar like a baseball bat. Now right here, I'm on my left side, but realistically, if Cord just locked onto my arms and made big chest, he could jump into any of the foot tuck arm bars, which he better not fuck up. Thank you. Tap. I know. I fixed him
I was
so
gonna
much
go to the other
yesterday.
side, but
Which you could.
yeah.
Both my arms are up.
Yeah.
That's why this is kind of considered the Hail Mary of the jiu-jitsu world. I'm down by 1,000,000 points.
Oh.
I've managed not to have him tap me, but I am not going to do. I need a tap now. That's where this comes in. I reach in, I get a hold, I grip. My elbow comes up and in. I pull down. I'm pulling him down over my forearm as my forearm rolls, and my goal is to put his forehead on the mat. Now, he can post, but honestly, if he posts, that's what I want. Because now it's on his neck. Or he can allow me to roll him over, at which point it becomes just a gnarly paper cut. Now, like most things, once you get your grips, his jiu-jitsu spidey sense, hopefully it's good, or if it is good, he'll beat me. If his jiu-jitsu spidey sense is not good, he basically just sits there and allows you to reach into his collar, then you're going to choke the fuck out of him. And you'll know within moments if you got it or not, especially if you practice it a few times. Because you'll reach in, you'll get it. If you have enough time to tighten and start turning, you got it. But then you get into how they're going to smoke you. Come back to the same technique. So here, the easiest way to remember the hand placement, whichever side they're on, that's the hand that goes to the same side of the neck. Baseball. So if he's on the other side, it'd be this way. So then when I create my space, get away from me a little bit, and I see daylight. I get in here. The other one, remember I said, most of the stuff we do today, he can nullify by doing what? Yep, corner mounts. Oh shit. Now that doesn't mean, I've seen guys corkscrew and give their back up here.
Humiliating.
So they go here and turn completely over.
That's the way I see it.
It can happen. But if you go to your mount and work on your containing, your position, and some of the pressure stuff we worked earlier in the week, you'll be okay. Have you had that happen to you, Corey?
Yeah. Like first month here, I was like, I got this guy.
Sure.
No.
Was it me? Alright, any questions?
Nope.
Alright, grab a partner, let's choke each other. We feeling the snow too?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm not prepared.
I've got it on low right now. I've never even dared to throw it in competition or anything. However, if you really think about it, it's the margarita choke from the north-south. So you have hit it, but just not from that angle.
The bigger guys are just hard to do it sometimes.
Too much shoulder in the way.
This works too. Just push this elbow.
So pull your left hand down to the mat, stick your right elbow as high in the air as you can. And roll away, yep. Almost roll over. So, no, hug your elbows to your body. This is this. So once you get your forearm across the neck, almost try to roll over and pull your left arm over your body. Keep rolling over. It's one of those, you don't even have to look in his eyes unless you want to watch him die. But Sarah, I respect that if that's your choice. So
I think I did the opposite. I just know when I do it, I just push one elbow. I think I got this 6 times in the Karjitsu. Great joke.
which, by the way, we're getting an SUV.
Are we?
So we'll be doing another Karjitsu. Hey everybody, probably in June we're gonna be doing another card jitsu.
I saw you guys did that.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, yeah. How you saw it?
Well, fuck.
Was there a winner?
There was 2 winners. Tyrese won one bracket, and then fuck, I know his name, Ben Daly. Eric won the other bracket.
That's it.
But they're both big boys.
It's crazy to think out look at their mobility.
This motherfucker choked a call out with the seatbelt.
Dude, I got like so many people.
Oh,
That's what I
you
got.
used the seatbelt.
I used
Oh,
the-
yeah.
I used the baseball.
You use anything in the car.
Damn.
With the seatbelt.
Look on the other side.
Yeah, Eric Ben Daly. Tall, buff kid. Yeah, now he's in the military. He should be back anyway.
I mean, this needs to be fixed.
It's Army Reserve training. So after you do the training, all you gotta do is get them a weekend a month. Yes and no. It's gotten a lot less too.
Yeah, I usually get like top of them, but usually like when we're working on getting to the top of them, like I'm
Good to score the points. Don't rely on staying there very long.
yeah. I don't
Because if you're trying to ride mounts on me, your feet are gonna touch.
Yeah.
So it's one of those like you're better off getting your
I
points
feel like that elbow's come to the back of your crushing myself.
It's not gonna be nice.
transition. Because you want to keep them down, but I think big guys definitely got big guys.
He's literally so much in the whole throat.
Yes. Yes. If you can control them up on the best control them. It's more of just a position. So you get on the gun, I'm not as far up. I got the little machine and all that going. So if you're trying to ride on me, you're better off with switching sides. But no matter what, full mount with hooks is more tense. So if you get on me and you put your hooks down, count one of them.
I'm like this one already, just crushing it.
It's still full force.
She's voted for that.
And then fucking run.
Yeah.
Get on your horse and ride.
Yeah.
That's how it is, dude. That's tough.
Yeah.
So Michael, next week we'll start with the self defense and we'll do all the physical.
You don't have to have more momentum if you're gonna roll somebody.
Yeah, it's almost like you know that first week where you like start with that.
Yeah, I
It's like
need
the same
to-
thing where it's like you're here when you have it, and then you turn away. You're like changing where their center of gravity is from like the middle of you to this side of you. Or it's like
Alright, everybody get about 1 or 2 more and we're gonna move on.
yeah. Nice if you hear They do very well.
I don't know, because we were talking about Canada Falls.
Yeah. When you're like this, especially if I have my knees like this, it's kind of
See, I always like get stuck on my side. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Moving backwards.
I kind of realized that I wasn't really like this.
Because if you're inside control.
Alright, bring it in. Hey, Vinny, man, I usually please, sir. Alright, this next one. Like I was saying before, it's all kind of that same stuff that we were going through. I want to walk my shoulders. I still want to create my space. You should always think of that as if you get caught here, that should be your first motion. If he's passing my guard to come here, I should already be in those positions. So being caught flat is just always not where you want to be, ever. I'm flat on my back with my legs spread. Vinny's going to fuck me. So that's kind of how you want to work in. Now another thing we were talking about getting your arm in here. I actually don't try to do this anymore because my arm hurts and my elbow hurts. A lot of times you'll actually even see me kind of come on this side first. And I like doing this because I'm okay here for a moment, but I can't sit here. And I really got to watch out if he pulls this arm out because if he catches me, he's going to Americana me. So one of the things I'll do is I'll actually lock in here. So I'll swing over and I'll catch. And then I'll get going to my movement. Working through. Now, if I can get to here and Vinny's arm is still here, I'm going to flare my elbow and I'm going to punch underneath. And I want to catch right here. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Vinny, this sucks, right?
Yeah.
If I pull my elbows to my ribs, I will choke him. If I hip escape away and put the pressure on the back of the shoulder, put the pressure on this hand, I will shoulder lock him. So the choke comes from doing this. The shoulder lock comes from doing this. Now, if I don't have my gi, it works well too. I can just stick my fist in your throat, and I have a ton of leverage just to fucking use the dick there. Yeah. But, same issue. If you go to mount, it nullifies it. You can even go north-south. So this is where these kind of submissions from underneath are always going to be kind of flawed. Because no matter how badass I catch him in his neck and his shoulder, I can't stop his movement. And that is the catch-22. But it does not mean that sometimes you can catch people.
If he goes to mount, is that arm kind of cracked?
For a second, but as he goes to mount, my body will shift, and because of the nature of the hold, it'll create space for him to get out. You want to watch it, it's kind of hilarious, because I can be in here pretty fucking deep.
You know about.
Yep, just put him up. See? See what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still here and I have everything, but now he can pull his arm out at will because the angle's completely different. Yeah, and now he's gonna make sweet, sweet love to my head as he cuts my arm. So that's where kind of what you're thinking about here. So like I said, if you're having a hard time getting your arm in, you can come over and hack down, but don't just arm. It should be shoulder and then arm. So he's in here and he's working me over. I'm not getting in here, so I come over so I can get my grip here, create my space. He still left his arm here for me, so I'm going to reinsert myself. Elbow high, right through the elbow line. Yep, what you saying if you can probably check
Yeah, I was gonna see if it
I think we both could.
It hurts my shoulder though.
Yeah. And then really all I have to do here is this little turn here sucks. So shoulder lock will pull everything for the shoulder.
So you're just muscle. So you're like a renegade.
Yeah, because I understand we're naked. But since you have your thumb in the collar, choke motion here, shoulder pressure motion here. Make sense? Wanna do it for me real quick? So the whole thing keeps me because I'm right here and I keep this arm under you. So it's your good thing.
But you don't have a gi.
Yeah, start again. You don't need to. So you're here. Under my leg, this one. Through your elbow. No, keep your hand where it is. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what lapel is.
Yeah, remember I said you can
Yeah.
stick your fist in my throat too?
And then you can turn your shoulder pressure in on me, so. As I say, you don't need a gi for this. You can chop at the base of my esophagus and pull it up, which is a see how I'm funny. Exactly. Because you're on my neck. Yeah, exactly.
So Danny, if it's like a self-defense situation, and you don't care if you fuck them up, and you just continue to twist over them, and just like really take their arm.
She really wants to make that.
From a self-defense and a tournament aspect, if you were to throw this hard and quick, there's a good chance you finish them off. Those of you who've competed, you know that sometimes you run into guys who are big knuckleheads. And they're willing to suffer and hurt for a while for the hopes of winning. Very those in this room who are willing to go unconscious if they think they have a chance of winning. This is a real thing. So it becomes a judgment call at that point. Yes, you could throw this on somebody. Yes, you could go for broke and your intention is to pass them the fuck out. It is a question of assuming who is the person that's trying to do whatever. From the self-defense aspect, if we're talking about the digger hunter, statistics will always say it's probably something you know. And oddly enough, since you know them, odds are you know if they were solid.
Yeah.
In which case, if you had to fucking put them down, you probably know if you had to put them down.
Not far enough.
Exactly. Now imagine that you, this will sound shitty guys, but as women assess guys, 100%. If they tell you different, it's no, it's true. It's 100%. You assess, and you assess all the things. Right down, and it's not just breeding or anything. Is this guy like in a guy different? You have friends that you're like, this guy couldn't fucking do shit. And it's probably funny because they're probably the loudest guys.
Yeah.
But you're like, that guy couldn't fuck his way out of the right? I'm pretty good. Like it's a real thing. Like it's fucking real. And women are the worst about it because they won't admit it. But I've had some pretty deep conversations with girls, and when you get them to fucking stop that and they fucking speak frankly, they're brutal. Fucking. What's that? No, because it is that. So, with all that said, that makes this kind of a loaded question. If we're talking about self-defense, the most common thing for women is rape self-defense. And then you get to the realities of it. Most women who are raped, they're raped by somebody they know. So then it's coming down to assessing the situation. If you're going to put this on a guy, you know, he thinks he's being frisky, you're going to fucking choke him unconscious. Exactly. Or you're going to realize, oh, this guy's actually, if this is where this is going, we're going to have to go.
You'd go for break the arm, choke him out.
And that's the judgment call you're going to have based on what you know.
The temptation will just be going all the way, just like that pressure.
If it's a self. Alright, everybody get your partners, let's work. No, 100%.
Yeah.
I think fucking years trying to put that in people's heads. Like, they deserve it. That's what they, if that's what they chose, alcohol or not, or whatever. No. Lessons are deserved.
Here. Make some Swiss knees and represent knees.
So your left arm, so put your elbow high. Your left arm's gonna go over the arm closest to me. There you go. Now go through your elbow.
Like the shoulder one, but you feel good.
Yeah, there you are. And once you're on his neck, hold your belly button for the choke.
Yeah.
So he turned and choked you. So turn thumb in. Look at me.
Thumb in.
There you go.
Oh, that's much different.
There it is.
There you go now. Yep. This is like, yay, this sucks.
Ooh,
Yeah.
More me too, that's what I thought of that too.
It's too much of
So turn it down like you're trying to look her in the eyes.
I felt it. Tight, you feel it. That's how I felt.
You're right there. Her shoulders are
Because I think with the lever. The lever's
It is
so tight.
right.
Not to
Oh,
know
yeah,
a lot of
turn-
things,
turn
but the
down
lever's so tight, so all you have to do with the lever's tight.
Do you see how her whole body's having to adjust to
So,
it?
I feel like even when
Yeah, yeah, sorry, okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
She's moving, so it's she's not. It's not a question of resistance.
So
Think
it
about
doesn't
think
need
about
to
those
be
little
provided,
things
so
you're trying to
get
keep
some
your
room.
little one. Here's the reality of it. When you get to this point, you come through.
You're gonna, no, you're gonna so you're gonna go.
Once I'm tight, you're in the hole.
No, because you're gonna circle this one. So this one's gonna go over here. This one.
Slowly right
She
elbow.
can't lower it.
Okay, up, under, grab your arm. Up there it is. So this one, and you're gonna be the shoulder one, so you turn into me. Look. Yeah. Get those things again, so you're tight on everything. So this is
Yeah, if he's being stubborn,
you
he's
can
gonna grab
keep that one as tight as you can do, but go lower on my tricep. There you go. But you're not tight enough though. Tight.
maybe a gummy type.
Better. Okay, now start turning.
No, it's not here.
Turn to your
Why
right.
is this not
On your
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Wait, it's something else. Something should be a little tighter.
Yeah, I don't know, now I'm confused.
and then if I want it,
If you can choke him while you push him, push him into me, what, throw him. Kind of like this one.
this arm is
Maybe get out of
and this is underneath.
Kinda, yeah.
I gotta get deeper. I know that.
That angle, you don't have a lot of work from down.
Here's one of the funnier opportunities.
It's not that simple.
One of the funnier opportunities that you have is that in time.
I like the shoulder up like that. The shoulder up,
It's
so
so
much
much
when you
easier.
tighten it up, it is actually,
Yeah.
you're gonna feel like, okay,
Well, here.
yeah. Once you get
Alright,
out
if
there,
everyone's
you
gonna be
feel
in the
what's
same
like
room,
felt
so
good.
I know you're banking on the 5 years. Sorry.
I'm having a demo on here's one of the funny things about the boat.
Focus
Right
on
now, here it's
this one is not going to go from go through one arm.
Which just makes like a secret wrestler.
There it is.
Sorry, that's not the one that grabs it. This is the one that grabs the collar.
That one I felt choking.
So put your right hand into his thumb up on
Deeper,
the other
right,
side.
just deeper on the grip.
I gotta remember that.
Chris, put your hand on the other side. Right hand. Are you doing baseball or which shoulder?
That one I felt the choke on the shoulder.
Okay, take your right hand and put it on the second skull. There you go. Now let him lean in on your forearm and stick your elbow up in the air. Now reach under his armpit and through your own elbow. There you go. Let's have him to your body. If you turn towards him with your arm, that's the shoulder lock. If you pull down with the wrist and roll the wrist into his throat, that's the choke. There you go.
In a lot of it.
Because it's my right side. Well, usually, every time you first start to do it.
It's easy for me to do it, but then trying to
Yeah, then like.
You see when they tighten up your shoulder that time. So a lot of it is when you're doing it, it's like, hands fell down, so it's just like,
Scoot yourself away.
Yeah, that's, I'm not doing
Now
that.
this hand.
I'll already tight one leg in here. Oh, and then, yeah, I think that's what you are. You know, it's like you are really making sure to do that, you know?
I'm in till I get better contact.
Comes to feel around.
Oh, it's choke. Very choke.
It should be choking.
Oh,
And I thought about something after you asked me about the choke. I kept thinking about it. Was like that thing that I wasn't just thinking I thought I could do it.
Here's the deal. Look out in here.
yeah, I just did that.
Wake up with it.
Alright, so then,
I felt you know,
But it's a switch.
you're better off with
Remember I said everything's in a cycle. Defending cycle.
I felt you felt like
Yeah, you have to make that space.
walk to whatever position. I'm like, hold this.
It's the opposite way.
Baseball. For the next one. It's all from. There you are. There you are. She's so flexible, get your guard back while you're at it. Yep. Same with you, you're smaller, but get your guard back while you're at it. Fucking fun. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah.
Everything all right? You're like, I'm here to use the bathroom.
That actually does happen a lot throughout the day.
Tyrese comes in here every now and then.
Oh, is it already here?
Wait for the car.
Where'd you put it?
We're about the same size, right?
I don't know, I live in less life for people giving me vehicles. Unfortunately, they never run.
Yeah, that would be a lot, man. I'll move to real quick.
If I can turn my
You got your contact right now? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
They're all doing the back.